Okay, maybe not quite like that, but it does help. For the way that my life was at one point, let's just say I really had to change to even take a quiet walk without driving myself crazy. I always thought things like meditating to quiet the mind and better deal with situations you're surrounding and maybe up your game in some way, defrag the mind, if you will, like you used to do to old hard drives. I always thought that was like a really cool idea and something that I could probably do if I really wanted to, but not for me, you know? It's just too long and difficult. I would rather do some quicker method like altering substances or something like that, and that would really up my game because I'm beyond that is what I thought. But you know what? I was wrong. A lot of people talk about meditation like it's a one-size-fits-all, and if you don't do it a certain way, you're basically not meditating. And when people think about meditating, they think about what the movies portray, what shows portray, the type of meditation where you try to clear your mind and think of nothing. But when I think of meditation, I think of mindfulness, and I would say that I'm correct in that definition. However, like most things, I think it's up to debate what classifies in the category of meditation, and I tend to think that if you're sitting down or walking or however you meditate and it helps you, that's probably the right way to do it. Throughout the last 7 years, meditation has helped me in many ways, and I've learned several different techniques on how to do it. Some come more natural to me than others, and all of them are pretty easy when I sit down or do what I'm doing and actually do it. It's the getting started and staying consistent that's actually what's hard. So in this video, I want to talk about how meditation's helped me and the 3 practices that I mainly practice. One of which I've actually practiced for years before I even was into meditation, before I even knew it was meditation. But then I found it on the internet and realized that people have been practicing it for thousands of years, and I was practicing it on my own without even knowing it. Is there a right way to meditate? Is there a right way to do anything? Well, I don't know. I guess that's up for... But here's a few things that I've done that have extremely helped me to stay in the moment, focus on what I want to get done, along with knowing that it will be okay if I don't get it done. And if you like this sort of video, along with a lot of other different kinds of videos I like to make, then remember to hit that like button and subscribe. Hey, whoa! Mindful meditation. Mindful meditation. Isn't that all meditation? Rooted in the ancient Buddhist tradition and has gained significant popularity worldwide in recent years. It involves cultivating a non-judgmental awareness of the present moment and paying attention to one's thoughts, sensations, and emotions. Mindfulness meditation often involves focusing on the breath or body sensations, gently bringing the attention back whenever the mind wanders. This, I believe, is the most common and really kind of the base of all of meditation, as I know it anyway, and definitely in the Western world. It describes kind of like 2 different kinds of meditation in one here, but they're both just being mindfulness. On one, you're focusing on an object, and on another, you're focusing on your breath. You're focusing the mind on one particular thought pattern. Your mind is alive. You're not trying not to think. You're actually very aware of what you're focusing on, if that's your breath or if that's this little thing I'm talking into. And I really do feel like it's the base for meditation in general. It's pretty hard for our human minds not to think. We're constantly thinking, but we can focus our mind, and when our mind starts to drift, we focus it back. And it's strange that it's pretty easy to do, very natural. It makes my whole day better. It makes me more relaxed. It probably makes me more productive once I'm done with it. But yet, I go through phases where it's extremely hard to do. As time goes on, there'll be times where I get into a routine and I do it on a daily basis. I set aside an hour or 30 minutes in the middle of the day, and I practice this mindful meditation. Usually I focus on a word rather than my breath, but we'll get into that later. And it becomes easier as you make it into your daily ritual. But then, something comes up, there's a holiday, there's a friend over, and I skip a day. And then maybe something happens that next day, and now I've skipped 2 days. And then the 3rd day, I may or may not continue this daily habit. And then after that, it's like it kind of slips in my mind and isn't part of my life again until I read something or start thinking, wow, I felt a lot better. I had less anxiety when I was practicing mindful mindfulness in general and mindful meditation for sure. So I suppose the second type is transcendental meditation. They say that in 1950-ish, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Okay, so the dude definitely didn't invent transcendental meditation. That opened up a huge can of worms. I knew he seemed familiar. He was the guy that was the Beatles guru that the Beatles later were like, no, this guy's freaking nuts, but then some of them still kind of like, anyway, there's a video about it that I linked. There's other types of meditation. He may have invented that actual transcendental word and attached it to meditation, but he had other followers. The dude's all about money, I guess, but maybe not. I don't know. Make up your own mind. There's a really good documentary made by a really good YouTuber, as far as I can tell. Really good video anyways. Linked in the description of this one if you want to jump into that. That's not what this video is. This is my experience with meditation. That opened up a huge can of worms. Anybody that says you can't get enlightened unless you pay them money is exactly the type of people that this channel is trying to get away from. But hey, donate to my page. You can always support me though. Seriously, wow. There's a lot of stuff around meditation. I think your spirituality is your own business, and if it helps you, I mean, I've said this a couple times in this video, but if it helps you, and do it the way you want to do it. If that means giving some guru, I guess he's dead now, but he has a bunch of followers that are still alive, and they charge a lot of money. Like, I just make up my own mantras. A guy that people say started a religion and and I don't really know a lot about it, but the way they describe the actual practice of focusing in and having a mantra, I honestly don't think that he invented, although I don't know exactly what he was all about. I just read part of the Wikipedia page. I find myself, it's easier for me to focus on a word, or what they call a mantra, I suppose, or even a thing, or my hand, or like in between my eyes, like my third eye and stuff, which I totally believe in. I don't know why I did that, rather than on my breath, because when I concentrate on my breath, it's like I have to breathe in a certain way, and it's just, I don't know, it's a little bit more difficult for me. I do practice both, and it's so similar to the last thing that we talked about. It really brings back that word mindfulness, because in both methods, your mind starts to wander, and then you bring it back either on your breath, a thing, an object, in between your eyes, your hand, whatever the case may be. You're trying to concentrate on one thing. That doesn't mean you're not thinking at all. It just means that you're concentrated on one thing, and things start to turn off in your brain, and you start being able to focus a little more. I always think of meditation like taking a walk in the spiritual woods. It's slow, the progress is slow. Sometimes your muscles get tired. As you do it more and more, you get better at it. Soon you will achieve things, mind states, relaxation, and other things that might be a little more controversial if they're real. However, I've felt some of the benefits from meditation, and I think they are real. At least it makes you feel really good about life acceptance, right? I think that's meditation to me. So a lot of times, I think most of the time, I actually lay down, but sometimes I'll sit. Think about right in between my eyes, and there was this one time I was doing that, and then I didn't move, but I imagined another pair of hands, or my pair of hands, going like this over my third eye. Felt like I could actually see the ceiling. As crazy as that might sound to some people, I actually could see the ceiling. Some people talk about floating out of their body. I wouldn't call it a near-death experience, but there's astral projection and stuff like that. I've never achieved anything like that. That is a normal method that I try to practice. Sometimes I will focus on an exact word like love or friendship, or like I'll just be like, I love my family, I love my family. Kind of like I repeat it fast at first and then slowly, and I try to keep it positive. It's mainly just relaxing and focusing. It's very similar to focusing on your breath. It does seem a bit different because you're not controlling your body as much. It does do similar things to your mind. Also, you know, there's like the science between having so much oxygen in your brain. So then there's the one that I've been practicing for years, and I just didn't know that it was called meditation, and that's walking meditation. And it's, again, very similar in the fact that it's about mindfulness and bringing your thoughts back to the present. I just thought of it trying to stay in the moment. You focus on your body. I pay attention to how I'm breathing, or I just kind of just feel the hairs on my skin, touching plants, and it can get real spiritual real easy. Feeling your body in the present moment and try not to regret yesterday and worry in the moment. If you want a good book to read that I think sums it up again and again in different ways, it's like every chapter he's saying the same thing. Cars Tolle, I think it's called In the Now. I'll put it on screen what its actual name is. That is an incredible book, and it sort of changed my life. I don't want to like get all extreme and say it changed my life, but out of books that changed my life, it's one of like 2 or 3 books that had a profound impact on the way that I thought about life. And just, it's like I grew up with my mom that was into these things and meditated a lot when I was a kid, and she put on tapes when I was a kid. I wasn't the easiest child to deal with, and so I knew a little bit about meditation, but then as my life went on and my life got crazy, and I kind of put it in the past and barely dealt with it. But there was always times that I naturally would go for long walks and try to focus on the now and stay in the moment rather than the future. There's also something I catch myself do a lot, is getting lost in fantasy. And I don't think you would call that meditation per se, and sometimes it's really healthy, I think. Sometimes I think of different videos that I'd make. Sometimes I think about the future I'd like to have. Sometimes I think about space aliens and make up stories in my head. I've always had a very strong and vivid imagination, but that can also get unhealthy and also take me away from staying in the moment, where I'm planning for tomorrow. Sometimes regrets will spark in, and sometimes I'll imagine how things could have been, should have been, how I would like things to be if I was ruled the kingdom, or how does that go? That expression. I think that anything that brings you into the now, anything that puts you into the moment, and different forms of meditation are different ways of getting to a similar state of mind. So there's the look into my mind and how I've brought mindfulness into my life, both on purpose and just kind of naturally. I want to remind everybody out there on my interweb friend list, we should all take anything that any human or space alien or God or whatever they are with a giant grain of salt. Nobody knows what happened before we were born, and nobody knows what happens after we die. Nobody knows all the answers. I encourage you to share your own mindfulness tricks, hacks, books, techniques, and things you've experienced in meditation. Have you astral projected? Have you followed a guru? Is that guru the one? Is that guru a good leader and leads you, or teacher? It's the ones that take that power and use it in a corrupt way that we must worry about. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you in the next life, but hopefully in the next video.